Welcome to another deep dive. So imagine you're trying to learn how to ride a bicycle, right? But instead of just getting on the bike, you decide to read a dense, like 800-page physics textbook.
Oh, wow. Sounds exhausting.
Right. You're reading about gravity, angular momentum, the friction coefficients of rubber.
Mm?
And the harder you study the physics, the more paralyzed you become when you actually try to pedal.
Yeah, because you're totally in your head.
Exactly. Eventually you realize the only way to ride the thing is to just throw the textbook away.
Uh,
And today's deep dive is into a text that does exactly that, but, on a cosmic scale.
it really does. It's fascinating.
Yeah, we're looking at this incredibly poetic text from 2013 titled The Scriptures of Transforming Cancun, which is also known as Chanyuan Celestial by an author named Su Feng.
Right.
And the mission today is to basically decode this dense, spiritually syncretic text that somehow weaves together Buddhism, Christianity, and Taoism
Once, yeah.
all at once, while simultaneously telling us that analyzing things is a terrible idea. Okay, let's unpack this. Diving into this text is like finding a profound spiritual recipe that calls for ingredients from completely different culinary traditions.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first instruction on the page tells you that reading the recipe too closely will ruin the meal.
That is a really good way to put it. It's an instruction manual for life, but it values action and innocence way over philosophy. It completely forces you to rethink how you approach the very concept of learning.
Which feels like a trap. I mean, for anyone who naturally wants to study a text to understand it.
Oh, absolutely. The very title sets this massive stage. Like, for those unfamiliar, Kim Kun is this foundational concept in Chinese philosophy.
Right.
Hyun is heaven, the active principle, and Kun is earth, the yielding principle. Put them together, you're talking about the entire universe. So transforming King Kun is not some modest self-help title.
No, not at all. It's aiming big.
Exactly. It implies fundamentally elevating the fabric of reality. But to understand what this text wants us to do, we have to first understand how it wants us to think, or I guess why it wants us to stop thinking so hard.
Yeah, because early on, it introduces this idea that all phenomena merge into what it calls a holograph. And it explicitly states this holograph is indescribable. Then it drops this vivid warning saying using logic is like fishing in the forest.
The visual there is just, it's such a precise critique of the human intellect.
It really is.
I mean, think about it. If you're standing in the middle of a dense pine forest, just casting a fishing line into the bushes.
You're going to look ridiculous.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you have the most expensive, highly engineered fishing rod on Earth, you're applying the wrong tool to the wrong environment.
Right.
The text is saying the universe, this boundless holograph, can't be captured by human logic because logic is inherently dualistic. Logic separates reality into subjects and objects, into, right and wrong.
Right. Logic slices things up. Like you can't understand the ocean by putting a single drop of water under a microscope. But the author goes way further than just saying logic is inefficient. Right.
Oh, yeah. He argues intellect is actively harmful.
Yes. The text literally claims that wisdom obstructs one's perception of the Tao. It says profound knowledge makes your spirituality impoverished, and it just flat out demands you discard the desire for fame, wealth, status.
It's an aggressive stance against the ego.
It says arguing makes you a foolish and stubborn person. But, okay, pushback here. This forces a massive contradiction that we have to address right now.
Yeah.
If using logic is fishing in the forest, if intellectualizing harms the spirit, how are we even supposed to read or analyze this scripture?
That is the big question.
Right. I mean, the text explicitly says that writing or speaking about these concepts harms both oneself and others. So isn't creating a scripture an inherent contradiction? Did the author just write a book to tell us that writing books is a spiritual crime?
This raises an important question, and it's honestly a classic mystical paradox. The text is pointing to the absolute limits of language.
Okay, how so?
Well, the goal isn't intellectual mastery. The goal is the death of the ego. As the text promises, selflessness fulfills the self.
Okay.
The scripture is just a ladder. You're meant to use the words to climb out of your normal ego-driven state, but once you reach the roof, you have to kick the ladder away.
You can't just carry the ladder around with you on the roof.
Exactly. If you just memorize the words and turn them into an academic doctrine, you've completely missed the actual experience.
So if the intellect is a trap, and we aren't supposed to debate philosophy, what are we supposed to do with our time? Just sit in a cave?
Not at all. And that's what's so surprising. The text's answer is intensely grounded and physical. It refuses to offer an escape into the clouds.
Yeah, it says, empty talk leads to a wasted life. And true attainment requires slow accumulation, not clever shortcuts.
Hmm.
And the examples are just wonderfully ordinary.
Planting vegetables.
Yes. Planting vegetables helps you enter the pure and empty. Sweeping cleanses the heart's dust. And, this is my favorite, transporting manure leads to purity.
Huh.
It's very much a wax-on, wax-off approach to enlightenment. The cosmic truth isn't hiding in a dusty library. It's literally found while hauling manure.
What's fascinating here is the stark contrast. You have the text describing the universe on this infinite cosmic scale, saying space is infinitely vast, yet clearly layered.
Right.
But the way you interact with that infinite vastness isn't some complex magical ritual. It's the most humble physical labor.
It's weaponizing chores against the eco.
Yeah.
You can't feel self-important when you're covered in dirt shoveling fertilizer.
Exactly. The focus should be on the innocence of a child, not dwelling on scriptures of truth. A child just sweeps because the broom is there.
But the text attaches this terrifying weight to these mundane things. It says karma is tied to every minor detail. A single careless word can open the gates of hell, which sounds extreme.
It does, but it aligns with that holograph concept. If every piece contains the whole, there are no small actions. Your spirituality isn't a compartment you visit on weekends. It is your life.
Right, it's the vegetables you plant and the careless words you choose not to say.
Mm.
But this practice doesn't happen in a vacuum, which brings us to the next point.
The syncretism.
Yes. The text aligns this humble path with what I can only describe as a unified spiritual super team. It brings together the world's most famous spiritual figures.
It's a very deliberate synthesis.
Yeah, let's look at the roster. It says Shakyamuni Buddha was the first to attain the Tao. But then, almost instantly, it declares Jesus Christ is the greatest God in the world. Then Laozi is honored for enlightening the Tao. Guanyin Bodhisattva is held up as the ultimate model for compassion. And there's a strict warning against desecrating the greatest creator.
It's a dizzying lineup.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. How does this text reconcile Jesus as the greatest God with Buddha being the first to attain the Tao? Historically, these traditions have very distinct, exclusive boundaries.
Oh, completely.
Like traditional Christianity says Jesus is the only way, which clashes with Buddhist non-attachment and rebirth. Is the author just name-dropping to get a wider audience?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the author isn't interested in historical dogmas or theological boundaries. That would be fishing in the forest.
Ah, right. Categorizing things with logic.
Exactly. It treats these figures as different avatars of the exact same underlying essence, which it calls nature. The text literally states, Buddha and celestial beings are nature itself.
So it's reducing these massive religions down to pure mechanics.
Yeah, it's an ultimate unification under one roof. Jesus brings the kingdom, Buddha attains the Tao, Guanyin models compassion. They're just different windows letting in the same sunlight.
So God and Tao are just different pointers, aiming at the same indescribable holograph. Okay, so we have this unified super team and a focus on humble action. Where is this leading?
The text introduces a destination it calls the second home.
Right, described as an egg or a pearl with a vast cosmos inside. And the way you're supposed to behave once you get there is just so surprising.
It demands playfulness.
Yes, it says everything is a game, only life is real. It insists a practitioner must return to a child's nature and learn to play, or else their cultivation will be in vain.
It elevates joy to a mandatory spiritual requirement.
And wait, it explicitly permits flirtation and jesting. You do not hear that in a typical sermon. It says they aren't lewd, but joyful places where there is neither self nor form.
Right, because that jesting is actually an ego death technique.
How so?
Well, think about a kid totally immersed in a game. They aren't worried about their status or their philosophy. They're just laughing. That unselfconscious joy is a way to achieve the state of no self.
Okay, I get that. But then, in the exact same breath, it pivots to this stark warning. It says the guide's roadmap must be followed precisely.
Very precisely.
Yeah, it says a tiny deviation leads to great errors and warns, if you fail to achieve the right result, do not blame me. It's total whiplash. Go be a playful, flirting child, but one step off the map and you're ruined.
It feels contradictory until you look at the mechanics of play. You can only have immense childlike freedom if you are safely inside a highly structured framework.
Like a playground.
Exactly.
A playground is liberating for a kid because there's a tall chain link fence keeping them away from the highway.
Yeah.
The boundary lets the ego's need to protect itself completely turn off.
That's it. The playful jesting works because of the strict boundaries of the guide's roadmap, not in spite of them.
And the text concludes this whole journey with the famous Buddhist Heart Sutra mantra. Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhisvaha.
which is the ultimate call to cross over to the other shore with transcendent wisdom.
So, to summarize, the Scriptures of Transforming Cancun offers a deeply unique blueprint. It asks you to drop your ego, drop your logic,
Stop fishing in the forest.
right, find the divine in sweeping the floor, honor this synthesized cast of spiritual giants, and play joyfully within the strict boundaries of a cosmic roadmap.
You know, in an age of constant information overload and endless internet debates, a philosophy that advocates throwing away the books to go plant vegetables with childlike innocence is genuinely refreshing.
It really is a countercultural perspective, but, I do have one final provocative thought.
Lay it on me.
The text explicitly warns us that what is beyond words is the Dharma of Buddha and tells us not to dwell on scriptures.
Right, it's unambiguous about that.
So by spending this entire deep dive analyzing and discussing the mechanics of this exact scripture today, have we deepened our understanding of the universe? Or have we just fallen headfirst into the exact trap of fishing in the forest that the author warned us about on page 1?
That is the question, isn't it?
Did we just stare so hard at the physics textbook that we forgot how to ride the bike? Something for you to ponder the next time you try to logic your way through life. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.